No, I mean, it's really simple. You just run right across there, stay out of the lights on the top, because that's where they have the guard outpost. See that pole? It's like a drain pipe. Shimmy right up there like a gibbon. Jump in the windows, right foot, left foot over that, right on top. Steal every artifact in place. It's easy. Really.
You do know that you're not actually Nathan Drake.
You shut your mouth. You shut it.
It's a character.
I will cut you, I will open you up and bleed you out.
Why is it always violence with you?
Because it has to be. It's how you survive in this business.
You know what's funny is I've been with this franchise since the beginning, but in a different way. Just as a gamer. This is one of the things that made me want to do this. So very few people have ever been able to stay with the character and watch it grow over 10 years. What is that like for you?
You know, it's surreal. I mean, if you want to be honest, if we're going to be serious for a moment, yeah, it's surreal. You know, you never think you're going to get the job of a lifetime. You're not, as an actor, you're not sure if you're ever going to get a job, right? And then something like this comes along. And I always tell people there's no such thing as Uncharted 1.
Right.
You know, it was
Drake's
Uncharted
Fortune.
Drake's Fortune, and like, hey, that was fun. And you're back on the audition trail. And then, you know, then they say, hey, people kind of liked it. Let's go to the second one. The second one blows up. And then your third, and now here we are after a Vita game as well. And here we are in Italy doing Uncharted 4 promotion. I mean, it's rewarding, especially being a character that they said, put as much of yourself in the character as you can. And then people like it. It's like Sally Field. You like me. You really like me. So now it's all over. It's bittersweet, but it's been a great ride.
How much of Nathan Drake do you think is Nolan?
Oh, like a percentage-wise, I don't know. You know, it just, you know how it is when we're on the stage, and we're out there, and you're developing the character, and when you're doing something for years at a time, I don't think people realize that you don't just go into a booth.
Right.
And you know, you do it for a couple hours, and then you're that guy.
You live this.
You know, for that you do this over the course of a couple of years. In this case, what, 3.5, 4 years?
4 years
of development, going in a few times a month here and there. Sometimes it's time off, maybe a few weekends in a row, or weeks in a row. You're in there. So it's a real process. It's one of those things. I'm glad that they let me use my own voice, so it wasn't anything like that. How about with Sam though? I mean, now.
Oh,
you had
man.
I know you were a fan of this.
Sure.
I mean, I think the first time you introduced yourself, you're like, oh, Uncharted. It's like, oh, God, here we go.
Here we go.
Here we go.
Fanboy.
Who's this guy? Security. But yeah, so you had you know, I know you're a big fan. I know this means a lot to you that you got to come in and do this way. So what's it like being a Drake?
I remember
From the same scene.
I remember the first time I first played this game, I was doing a terrible movie in Texas in 2007, and I remember playing Uncharted 1, Drake's Fortune, and saying that all I want to do, I want to be one of the red shirts that Nathan Drake kills.
You know that's Star Trek though, right? The red shirts.
But we're borrowing.
Okay.
People understand, they get it. So all I wanted to do is that, and I remember where I was when Neil Druckmann called me and he said, I got to bring you in. And how do you feel about playing Nate Drake's brother? And I was like, I told him, I was like, don't mess with me, man. Don't lie to me if this isn't going to be true.
Right.
And we sat down and we talked about it. And I remember him saying, you know, so the one thing about this is that you're his older brother. And I went, oh.
No, it's fitting. It's fitting because I look so much better. I mean, I look so
You've
much
aged
better.
well. I was like, how is that going to work? And you know this, it's kind of like the relationship that I have with Travis Willingham, who's younger than me, but in so many ways he's much more my older brother, and it's because of life experiences. And I think that with Nate, it was when we were kids, when Nate and Sam were kids growing up in the orphanage, we needed this. And then Nate found his own path. He found Sully and he found Elena. And so he kind of grew up and he became the older brother, and Sam kind of stayed in the same way. So for me to come in and not just be a red shirt, but to come in and be the brother and see how this relationship fits in the whole story is, I don't want to say it's the coolest character in the franchise, but it's really cool because to me it gives so much more dimension to Nate, to Sully, to Elena, to Cutter, to everybody who's been in this whole thing, because there's always been this outlier waiting in the wings for his chance to do an adventure with Nate.
Nate's never even talked about it. I mean,
Right.
didn't even talk to his wife about it.
Right.
So, yeah, it's a cool character to play.
How much has Nate changed, do you think, over, I mean, this is four really kind of 5 games. How much has he changed?
Well, how much have I changed? How much has anybody
Sure.
changed? You know, it's you know, wisdom is the sum of your experience. It's just, I think there's, you know, life hands you different things, and he's how does life change anybody? I think, you know, he became who he is through the adventures that we played, and for whatever reason now he's in this situation where he's just, it's this mundane sort of life. And I was telling somebody earlier, it's that Pacino, they pulled me back in.
Right.
Hoo-ah. That's a different movie, but pulling them in. And it's just, you know, he's brought back into this life that he was he trying to get away from? Did he feel like that was his responsibility, like, now that he's married, and get that, you know, which I wasn't on board with at the beginning. I wasn't really on board with the idea that, oh, he's married, and so now he's gonna just stay with him. He's domesticated, because Elena had that a rush for adventure as well. So it was a little strange, but you know, maybe they had made and again, this is where you get to fill in your own blanks. Like maybe they just made a decision, like maybe we want to start a family, and this is more safe, and let's just calm down.
Well, it's interesting because
it's just interesting to see, like, life. You know, it's not always like the decisions you want to make. It's like life for Nate and Elena has pushed them to these circumstances, just the way we all are. You know, I think it was John Lennon who said, you know, life is what happens when you're busy making plans. You know, and I think that's exactly what happened to Nate and Elena. And there you go. There's reality back in the game that helps everybody relate to these characters more and more.
What was it like for you, because we've done so many games, what was it like for you the first time, because we work so much in an abstraction, it's so much theater of the mind, and we have to make believe so much. What was it like for you the first time you saw that game come up and you saw your character and all the work that you put in? What was it like for you?
With Drake?
Yeah.
You know, I don't really know if it was cool the first time, because we actually got a bunch of cinematic scenes cut as a movie for the first one, so you get to watch it. And it was the first time I actually got to see what all the animators and the designers did, and how it made it move and walk and run, and it was so cool. And then I actually did get to play some of the stuff, and I remember being on the in the first game on the jet skis, going up and trying to get up this rock, and it was driving me nuts. And it didn't really hit. It was like, it was cool. It was a cool game, you know. And by then I had done games and I heard myself in them. But the biggest thing was for me was, I think, when Uncharted 2 had come out, and my son, he was playing it, and he just be like, and he turned to me and goes, "That's you." And I'm like, "Yeah, I know, I did the voice." He goes, "No, but that's you." And he had seen something that I didn't see, because I just a different perspective. And when I saw it through his eyes, it's the thing that kind of registered more for me.
You saw the work, he saw the character.
Yeah, and it was like, oh, because I don't know about you, but every time I see my work, I think, oh, I should have done that differently.
Sure.
I can't help but self-critique. It's a curse of this business, that you just think of all the other choices that you could have made in that moment, and you're like, maybe I've done that. But for me, anytime it's animated, and especially the stuff with Uncharted, it's always been amazing with seeing what they put together from us in those ridiculous looking suits, and to see what they do is absolutely it's amazing. I mean, and the same thing we did with Last of Us. I remember just running around with Ashley those days that we had to do it, and you know, and it was such a different tone, but it was that same collaborative spirit, that effort, that excitement, that wow, we're making something really cool, and then you see it, and you're like, you know, I just can't speak enough about what they do in that magic building to make it real.
Well, I'll say this, one of my favorite memories so far is actually one of the first shoots that we had, where Sam and Nathan come together again, and just the scene of them coming out and sitting down on the bench, kind of looking out over the ocean, and Sam saying, "What have I missed? Catch me up," you know, on the greatest things. And it's weird to think that the guy who got called in for an audition had no idea that he was going to be on a 10-year adventure, and a guy that played a game almost 10 years later is sitting side by side with him and even more so, staring up at a castle and trying to figure out how we're going to scale it.
And what's ironic is, as the actors go, you probably knew more about what was happening, what had happened in those adventures, because I'm a terrible gamer. I love gaming, but I'm so bad at it. My son will grab it, and go, "Oh, you're just." I mean, how many times? No, the kid. Uncharted 3 is. You're just killing yourself over and over. I hand him the machine.
Daddy doesn't want to commit suicide anymore.
And then he gets you through the level. I'm like, good boy. Double your allowance. He doesn't get an allowance. But yeah, those scenes were cool because those were some of the early ones we did, where we just, when you walk in, I remember it was cool. It was cool because people don't realize it's like I open a fake door.
Right.
I know it's you, and yet, you know, when you really fall into these characters and you really close it. I mean, I don't know if I ever told you, but I'd open that door and I'd say, Sam, and it's like, you know, I'm very close with my own brother, and I'd open that door and I'd get goosebumps. Like, I did for real, even though I know it's your ugly mug on the other side of the fake door that I can see through. But, and I think that's something that's really cool about doing this process, is that you can play make-believe like you did when you were a kid. You know, and then they take that and make it look better than even your imagination can put together. I think that's what makes it so special to me, to you, and to everybody who plays. Pleasure having you on it, man.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me.
I'm sure there's many more things with you becoming a big director and all.
Ooh.
I might be looking for work soon. There's no 5 in sight. You should call me. But until then, I say we go back to Il Castello and drink some of that red wine.
Let's get a drink. I'm buying.
It's free.
For the players.